Welcome to the She Births podcast, a place for conversations to help you create a beautiful birth and grow gently through the powerful time of motherhood, or as we call it now, matrescence. We are not just birthing our babies, remember, but also ourselves. I am Nadine Richardson, your host and creator of the world's first scientifically verified childbirth education program, She Births. I have been a yoga teacher, doula, and birth educator for over 20 years, and I started to create She Births after my own wild and wonderful birth experience. Today, I am proud to say that She Births has helped tens of thousands of families around the world, and we are published in the British Medical Journal. Our programs have a unique, holistic toolkit, mindset skills, and philosophy that all work together so that you can have the most natural, gentle, and joyous birth possible and make birth beautiful no matter what unfolds. I will be talking with fellow experts around the world so that you can feel empowered and critically be engaged in decision making. There are lots of birth stories from mums just like you, sharing their challenges and joys. We will be hearing from mums and celebrating the extraordinary growth that happens during motherhood, that unraveling rite of passage that leads us to finding a new self on the other side. Our world-class birth courses can be learnt either face-to-face or online inside our free app. Just jump onto the She Births website, shebirths.com, and take a look. We have lots of freebies for you if you feel like learning more. We have a doula matching service, the perfect way to ensure you and your partner are supported, our matrescence program, and our 14-year-strong Soul Mama Circles, the perfect initiation and support into motherhood and sisterhood. Our vision at She Births is to make birth beautiful for every family around the world. So if you like what you hear today, please help us to keep this podcast going by subscribing, reviewing, and sharing with a friend. I hope you enjoy this special episode. Welcome to the She Births podcast. Today I'm joined by Jacqui Minell, She Births alumni 3 times over. She's Pilates, barre, and yoga teacher and mum to 3 gorgeous boys, Will, Ed, and Tom. This is an episode with not only 3 birth stories to inspire you, but also fertility and loss and how birth can be both the same and different again and again. It's a must listen for anyone preparing to give birth again. Jacqui and I talk about fertility challenges and unpack what changes when you prepare the body really well and why no 2 labours, even in the same body, are ever the exact same. There's also some very real, honest birth talk and her top tips about castor oil smoothies, crazy spicy curries, and curb working, and so much more. Jacqui did lots of prep in her pregnancy and used all the tools and more in her labours. Plus, she talks about how to clear beliefs from the body using chiropractic neuro-emotional techniques that I have known to be incredibly successful over my years as a doula and personally myself. And Jacqui found that with the NET, it helped her process gender disappointment in her 3rd pregnancy, and it even seemed to turn her frank breech baby. Plus, we chat about what Jacqui calls training James, how she prepped her partner differently for each birth. We also go into postpartum recovery, newborn feeding challenges, including tongue and lip ties, the relationship and identity shift across matrescence, why women need that space to be held and heard, that role of Soul Mama Circles in that integration. So it's a conversation about preparing for all and expecting the best. Shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you're going to land amongst the stars. We can become so powerful and have so much agency in our births when we are committed we gather knowledge, we get that support, and then postpartum, we have that community. I hope you enjoy today's conversation. Jacqui, welcome to the She Births podcast. It's so exciting to see you in the flesh, all looking gorgeous and not pregnant all of a sudden.
Thank you. Very excited to be here. It feels a bit surreal, having listened to every single podcast on the She Births podcast, and then now having the opportunity to share my piece so that others can hopefully take some, words of wisdom away or little things to put in their back pocket for their births and birth prep and anything after.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember you even shared you gave birth, your second birth in COVID, and that's when we did like a Zoom catch up, I think. And didn't you give birth before the final Zoom session? And so you came in and shared your birth story in that, I remember.
Oh no, the second one was in Vaucluse.
Yeah,
we did that, and then and then I literally gave birth 2 weeks after that.
Yeah.
And then we had the Zoom catch up, and I was able to show everyone my baby and run through the birth story. So yeah, I think that was almost a week after. Yeah.
Yeah. Go girl. Well, you're a pretty great birther. Hats off. Great mum. Excuse me, and great birther. But maybe you could just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Jacqui. I live in the eastern suburbs of Sydney in Rose Bay at the moment. I've got 5 in my family now. So there's me, my husband, and my 3 boys. My first is Will. He is 3 and almost a half. And then there's Ed. He's 18 months. And then I've got little Tom, who is 3 weeks today.
Oh, my goodness. I forgot how little they all are. You're amazing. 3 and 4.
Work-wise, I work in wealth management as a risk and compliance advisor. And on the side, I'm also a Pilates, yoga and barre teacher, which I absolutely love doing as my extra job.
Amazing. And your physical prep for birth was, really outstanding. And I used to love watching your little reels and videos doing crazy, funky things with bricks and lunges. So we'll talk a bit about that as we go through. But do you want to share a little bit about, because it wasn't like the smoothest journey in conceiving. Do you want to share a little bit about that? Because I think it's always helpful to kind of normalize the hiccups along the way.
Yeah, well, it sort of goes back to COVID, like most people's stories, and that sort of first round of lockdowns where James and I were trying to get engaged, and every time that sort of opportunity came around, there was another lockdown imposed. And then we finally did. And that was about August 2020. And then in September, we'd always spoken about having kids and how many kids we wanted. We were pretty keen to start trying because we had no idea when we'd have the opportunity to even have an engagement party, let alone a wedding. So I decided to go off the pill, something I'd been on since, I was in my teens. So I would have been 30. I was 30 in 2020. And just no period came. And I wasn't surprised because I'd done, and I can't remember why I did this, but in my mid-20s, I decided to just go see a fertility specialist just to understand a little bit more about my body. And the person that I saw at the time said that I had PCO, not PCOS, but PCO. And at the time, I wasn't planning on having kids, so I sort of just put that in my back pocket and went on not really thinking about what that meant. But basically, what it led to was us seeing another fertility specialist early 2021. So we sort of left it about 6 months, and we were pretty keen to get going. We tried a few different things like a hycosi, which is where they flush out the insides, basically. And I can't remember if we did like much else, but it got to August of 2021 and I was a bit disappointed that my period was not coming. There was no indication of, me finding that, getting that back, feeling normal. So we decided to talk about the next steps that we could take to get really serious about trying to conceive. And the option that was proposed was ovulation induction. So I think it was letrozole that I was taking in the first round, and then a trigger shot, and then timed intercourse, and then hope for the best. And we tried round one, which was a very emotional roller coaster because you're trying this for the first time. I remember being extremely emotional on that first round of tablets, and it didn't work out, but I was very determined and I was not very happy with the results. So I was reaching out to friends and friends of friends that had gone through the same thing. And someone said to me, you just need to ask your fertility doctor for the hard stuff. It's like, I don't know what that is, but I said that to her. So she put me on I can't remember what it was called again, but it was an injection that you would take for IVF, but I would take a much smaller dose to just get one follicle.
Yeah.
So we did one round of that, and unfortunately that one didn't work out, but my third round did. And I, of course, found out at 12 p.m., 1 hour before our work Christmas party. So, and they usually call you at 4 p.m. So I was like, why couldn't you call me in the afternoon? But it was great news, and that was just a couple of weeks before Christmas. So we're very lucky, round 3. And then our wedding came about 10 weeks after that. So I had to let out my dress just a little bit because I was starting to bloat a little bit. And I'd say the pregnancy was pretty good. All things considered, I didn't really get much morning sickness. I think the main things I experienced were like bad reflux, the itchy tummy. I had a really itchy tummy, not the hands and the feet, but a really itchy tummy that drove me insane, keep me up most nights. And then I guess we get towards my birth prep for Will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'll dive into that and then can come around to my next fertility issues for the others.
Can I ask you a question about the PCO? Did anyone, when you were on the pill, did anyone give you any heads up that can sometimes most likely going to bring about PCO and PCOS? Because excess estrogens in the body, they've got to go somewhere, kind of thing.
I feel like in my early 20s, I was just seeing like whatever GP was the easiest GP to see, whether it was like next to my office at the time or I don't know, whoever had availability. And I was literally just going in and saying, can I just get a repeat script? Thanks, bye.
Yeah, I know. It's just such a common story, and it makes fertility really challenging and can bring a lot of pain, and I get it.
Yeah. What did come about though in that beginning part of the fertility issues was that I did have PCOS, so I had multiple symptoms that were showing that.
Yeah.
Which is why I wasn't growing any follicles or maturing any follicles to then ovulate. So so then I guess I've entered the world of pregnancy, and I'd already felt like I had a great network of people around me from teaching lots of prenatal Pilates.
Yeah.
And it was probably actually back in 2019 that I had my first sort of training, as you might put it, with Body Love, who I still teach for. And Ali, who's the founder and owner, gives a great extensive training to her teachers on how to teach prenatal Pilates like properly.
Yeah.
And we offer prenatal only reformer mat and yoga classes, so you can feel, not like the left out person in the room, like the one preggy who is left doing, bird dog or child's pose. It's a whole class tailored to prenatal mamas, and it's probably the most social class. Everyone gets to know each other and all that sort of stuff. But the training talks about how the body grows, all that sort of stuff. And I know it was probably around that time or maybe a year earlier that you did a podcast with Ali.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. And I already had in the back of my mind that that's the birth course I'm going to do. So it would have been just before 20 weeks, because I like to nerd up on absolutely everything, where I looked into the options of the course online, the face-to-face. James and I were both working sort of 7 days, and it was really hard for us to find a weekend. I would have loved a weekend, but I did really love doing the online course because I was able to watch it all, watch it again, watch it in my own time.
Yeah.
And then what I would do was write down all the videos I wanted James to watch. And we actually ended up with
a good option for people. Like,
yeah,
this is the one. And now we've got with the online courses on Kajabi, so you actually can add another person's email to the app, to the online course. So you kind of get two people for one. And then you can like flag and just hit them up with the video directly as well.
Yeah, well, we had a whiteboard, and I wrote down all the videos that he had to watch, and he had to tick them off.
Cute.
So
you guys go work in finance, don't you?
He's a pilot, but he was this is my approach to it. Had to. I said, if you don't have to watch them all, but these are the ones that you have to, and a lot of them were more of the practical pieces that I wanted him to be across to support me.
Yeah.
So I guess sort of we've jumped ahead to 20 weeks, but I did always think that I would birth with an obstetrician.
Yeah.
And I had the health care to cover the private hospital. So when finding an OB, I'd reached out to a bunch of friends, and a few of them led me to Bobby Teo at Prince of Wales Private. So that's who I met with, and
who did she birth as well, by the way, with his wife for their first pregnancy. Yes.
Right. And they've had 3 kids, and I think we chat more about everything but births now. We talk about all our other life stuff because he went through a renovation. I'm going through a renovation. It's probably what we spoke more about in our catch-ups with the most recent birth. But I felt very comfortable with him. He was very supportive of my birth plan as we got towards the end. I never felt that any of the things that he was asking me about or suggesting were not in line with that.
Yeah.
And
what type of birth did you want to have with Will?
So after, it's funny, if you asked me when I was 20, I'd probably say, just have a C-section. That's what my mum had, and that's what I thought would happen for me. And it probably wasn't until I was more exposed to people that are pregnant, listening to birth stories, doing that prenatal Pilates training, learning more about the body, listening to more podcasts when trying to get pregnant, as well as being pregnant, that I really felt that trying for a natural birth with as much prep as possible with the least amount of intervention was what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
And I'm very goal orientated. I love to sort of set myself something up here and then try and, go up here. So that, there wasn't like a light bulb switch moment. I just feel like everything in my life was sort of led me there.
But some people change mid-pregnancy. Some people are like, I just want every drug under the sun. Like, you just give me, I'm signing up before I'm even in the hospital, put me down for that. And then I think carrying their baby, the consciousness of carrying another being, and then a little bit of information maybe about hormones, and then like, oh, okay, maybe we will try for something a little more natural and see how we go. But I think it's, as you say, like going for a goal is a really important part of, creating a beautiful birth. You do have to have an embodied kind of intention, and that is a goal. You have to be able to work towards something. And that can be, a happy induction, or it could be assisted with epidural. You want to do that. or a family-led C-section, but working towards a goal allows you to, achieve it.
Yeah, and my husband will say that he said this to me every single birth, and he said I could quote him. He said you can even put a little footnote at the bottom of the podcast for what I said, but he would always say the plan is that the plan may change.
Yes, right.
So that, you know, mentally I didn't get too fixed on or disappointed if it didn't really go to my first plan. And in my birth plan that I did write out for all of them, there was like the next plan. So if I did need to be induced, if I did need to end up in a C-section, like there was a plan for that.
Beautiful.
With a few extra things that I would like to happen or not happen.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. So I guess that's...
How did the labour start? But what happened then?
Yeah, so I had a very extensive labour prep. So I took the She Births protocol and, probably a bunch of other things that I had learned and read about, and sort of made my own big all-inclusive from 30 weeks what we should be doing, which involved seeing an acupuncturist, drinking the raspberry leaf tea, doing the hip circles, all the movement to sort of open up that space. And
all the breathing, visualizations, perineal massage
every day.
35 weeks. Yes.
Yeah, all that stuff, the dates, the clary sage, the jasmine oil, the perineal massage. One thing I did get was an Ep4, and I know it's, you know, there's different views on that. I personally liked it because I just wanted to be able to feel something like that in that space.
Yeah.
And how that felt to sort of have my body in that something, in that space.
Yeah. Did you get up? What centimeters did you get up to?
The most I got up to was actually with Ed, and it was 9.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I also was seeing a women's health physio throughout all my pregnancies as well, and she does say I've got quite stretchy skin.
Yeah,
which is probably why I had pretty good births as well as no tearing in any of them. And I can talk more about this, but I have ended up with prolapse for each of the three, which I've had to work on to make sure that I can recover as quickly as possible. So yeah, the Ep4 actually popped 2 weeks before Tom was born. I don't know if that's because it was just like 3 years old.
Hilarious. I think they say 2 births is all you're meant to use it for. I think it's 2 pregnancies. Whatever. Whatever.
It scared the crap out of me because I was like, it was the loudest pop because the rubber's really thick. And I remember just sitting back a little bit, and I think the little tube in it just hit a weak spot and it popped. And I was like,
oh my God.
Was that my water? Oh my gosh. Like, I'm home alone. No.
Classic.
But then I was just really sad that I had no Ep4 to play with for the next 2 weeks. But I figured this is the third round. You'll probably be okay. So I let that go. So yes, birth prep. Lots of yoga, lots of stretching. The visualizations were non-negotiable. I was still having lunchtime naps. Yeah, all 3 pregnancies. I had the full birth rehearsal on repeat. So if I dozed off, it could keep going.
Amazing.
Yeah, which probably leads me actually to when I did go into labour with Will, which was on a Wednesday morning at about 3 a.m. And I couldn't get back to sleep. I was feeling really crampy. So I did put on the visualization, and I played it 4 times because it got me to 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was going to go to a prenatal reformer class at 7:30, and I just said to James, don't think I should go. Just really don't think I should go. So we just went for a light walk around the park. This is when we were living in Rushcutters Bay, which is a great park to do curb walking around, lots of space. And we got to sort of mid-morning and we had a daycare tour. So we did that, and gosh, I was feeling so heavy and so tired. I knew something was up. Just before I went, though, I did go to the toilet, and I did notice a little, like the babyest bit of spotting on the pad I was wearing. And just didn't think too much of it, wasn't really sure if it was mucus plug. I didn't obviously lose any mucus plugs for any of them, actually. There was no time where I thought, oh, that's it, it's gone. But I did wonder if my water had just broke a little bit, and because I'd listened to podcasts where whether it's, higher up where it's broken and it's trickling through, or his head's plugging the hole, which is what some people say. And I just sort of went on with my day. I had lunch with my sister, had a massage.
Good.
And then it's quite funny. I had the eggplant palmy the night before.
Excellent.
And I do wonder if that actually brought on the labour, because that thing can take over 3 hours to cook when you're frying up all those eggplants. And I was in tears. That thing broke me. I burnt my hand on the oven. It took me 3 hours. My back was hurting. I had a full-blown meltdown and left the absolute biggest mess in the kitchen for James to clean up. But it tasted really good. So I do wonder if that contributed a bit to
it's like the combination of like the prostaglandins in the eggplant, but also like it just cracks you open so that you just like fully surrendered. Now I'm like done. I'm done with this pregnancy. I'm ready.
And that was 38 weeks and 6 days.
Oh,
it would have been. So I had my birth prep bag, which had my birth sling in it, my comb, my head massager, all my oils. I think the ball was next to it because I didn't believe that the hospital ball would be good enough, so I had to take my own, my yoga mat, everything. But the one thing that I hadn't gotten yet were my plastic bendy straws. And this is when plastic was going out. So you had to order a pack. And it literally just arrived at, it was Myer or David Jones or something. It's the only place I could get these bendy straws. And I had to have everything, right? The bendy straws ready to go. So I picked up that pack Wednesday afternoon and I got home. So all the bits in my bag are ready. And I said to James, I think we're going to be on tonight. We should go to bed early. So we finished we didn't finish the eggplant palmy. We had a next lot of eggplant palmy because it makes the biggest batch.
Good, yeah.
If anyone makes it, I recommend freezing whatever you don't eat because you'll be really sad if you end up throwing it out, which is what I ended up having to do because I didn't make it back home in time to put it in the freezer. But we went to bed and I think it was about 10 p.m. that I woke up and I was not able to get back to sleep. I could not lie down. Every time I lay down, a contraction would hit me a bit more. So I had to be upright. So I had a shower, threw myself in the shower. I was there for a while. I hung out in the birth sling because I needed to be upright. So I basically
you put it over the door. Did you put it around your shoulders and hang that way, or did you lean forward around your chest?
The support more around. It was either around my chest or my belly because lifting the weight from the belly helped as well.
Nice.
But it was sort of more on all fours-ish. So I had the support of my knees over the ball with the sling supporting me. So there was a good lot of time in the early hours of the morning doing that.
Nice. And James was resting. You let James have a little sleepy.
Yeah. Then I think it was about 4 a.m. or I was just like, I just need to know where we're at. I've been here for a while now. Even if we just go to the hospital before peak hour because I just didn't want to get stuck in that.
Totally.
And then we can come home and go back if we need to. Like that was going to be my plan. We'll go in, just see. I also wanted to know if my waters had broken. Which they had. So we got there about 5 a.m. and she checked my pad and they had broken. And then Bobby came in a few hours after that and we had a bit of a chat and they said I was 3 centimeters because I also wanted to know, should I stay, should I go kind of thing I needed to know. So they said I was 3 centimeters, but because my water had broken and it had broken the 24 hours before, I had 24 hours to bring it on. So I was like, game on. We're going home. We're doing all the things and then we'll see you back here later. I fortunately had an acupuncture appointment booked in that day. So we pretty much went home and I made my castor oil smoothie that you messaged me.
Yes,
Yes.
that's one that I made for Deb O'Neill, that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hit you up for that. I was like, I need to know what this castor
Yes.
oil smoothie is that you made
It's
for
nice,
Deb.
isn't it? It's a pina colada.
100%. Yeah. So we made that and it was delicious. I even wanted more, but I was like, probably not. Don't want to have too much in your tummy.
Yeah.
Because I made a big one in my NutriBullet. And so that was at 11. Acupuncture was at about 1 or 2 o'clock. And then I got home and my made for mother's delivery had just arrived.
Yum. The best.
Yeah. All the yummy stuff. And I went downstairs, picked up the box, brought it upstairs, was unpacking it in the kitchen, and my water broke everywhere, gushed everywhere. So that was 4 p.m. And then
so that's why we know probably that it was a hindwater leak in that first one, just to explain it for people. And then it would have been the forewaters. When you get those big gushes, it would have been that, between the head and the cervix. So now we're on. Now there's so much pressure, which then creates more prostaglandins, and those prostaglandins were going to create more oxytocin. So contractions pretty much are, destined to be hidden pretty soon.
Yes. So I was like to James, all I want to do is eat my Cha-Cha's vegan ice cream, if anyone remembers that place that was in Bondi. And it closed the week before and I had stocked up. I went and ordered like so much. I just want my ice cream. And our go-to show to watch was just YouTubes of Michael McIntyre, because I found we just find him like such an easy
family jokes
comedian
as well. All the father jokes, they're really beautiful. Good idea.
So that lasted 10 minutes. So we sat down from the waters breaking. That lasted 10 minutes, and then I was on all fours on the floor. James was giving the rebozo a go. That just escalated stuff too much for me.
Yep.
And then it got to 4:45. So that was about 45 minutes from my waters breaking. And I said, I think we have to go. I can't even talk. Trying to get in the lift down to the car was so hard. And then the car ride. So it's now 5 p.m. and we're going in peak hour.
Yeah.
It was an hour, like almost an hour. Because from the call to the ticket stand to the car park was almost about an hour.
And now for a quick break. At She Births, we believe that pregnancy, birth and matrescence, the sacred postpartum, is an awesome rite of passage. Our free holistic pregnancy guide offers you 6 months of weekly support. Drop straight into your inbox, or within our free She Births app, you can get content that will nourish your body, mind and soul. You can enjoy prenatal yoga videos, great recipes, birth affirmations, course discounts and more. From me and my team, the creator of the world's only scientifically verified antenatal classes, it is our gift to you. Sign up today and receive the free holistic pregnancy guide at shebirths.com/PG. That's shebirths.com/PG. Can you give us some tips for the car? What did you do? How did you find comfort in the car? How did you manage contractions in the car?
Very illegally was on all fours in the back seat with my head in the car seat. I feel nauseous when I'm in pain, so I had the bag. I had my eye mask on because I didn't want any light. And I either had my AirPods or my Bose noise cancelling headset on. Yeah. And I was just listening to my Labour playlist, which is just all very mellow, chilled songs that I knew would make me feel relaxed. Yeah. And just breathing through it.
Beautiful.
And hoping that another speed bump or roundabout was not coming up. Because there are so many around Centennial Park getting there. Yeah. So we've got there, and you can plan with your husband or your partner how many times you should get into that car park and where you should park, and he parked on the wrong level. And I'll never let him live down. And I was yelling at him, we're on the wrong level. We're on the wrong level. And he's like, no, we're all good. We're all good. We were on the wrong level. And you want to get to the bottom level at Prince of Wales Private to then get the one lift that goes up to the maternity ward, and having to go through the foyer and then get another lift up.
Oh, that's
so we had to go back down, and I was stuck in the car. He had to pick me up out of that car. And the lift, I don't think there was anyone in it, or maybe one person, so it was manageable. And as soon as we got through the maternity ward
Were you just leaning
doors,
into James, like hugging his waist or leaning on the sort of edges of the lift? What were you doing?
gosh, I can't remember. I was probably holding onto him with my head in his chest because I
Yeah.
just didn't want to see or
Yeah.
hear anything. And then the other two births, I can remember the lift a little bit more, but that one was just next level. And I just broke into tears as soon as those maternity doors opened because I was so relieved to be there. And they, yeah, passed over my birth preference list. They were already familiar with me because I'd come in that
Yeah, you'd
morning.
been in. It's actually
Yeah,
quite handy sometimes, isn't it, when you've met them and then it's the same ones on
yeah.
shift.
What
Yeah.
was actually even more handy is that I had an iron infusion
Mm.
about a month or two before that, and they did it in the maternity,
Yep.
in the birthing suites. So I'd actually been able to be in there. It wasn't
Mm.
a full foreign room to me. So
Yeah.
I quite liked that I was able to have that opportunity. They don't do it anymore, which is
Yep.
annoying, but I did like having that. So then for me, it was about trying to get all my bits and bobs out of my bag, ready for me, almost in a circuit style.
Yeah.
To get things ramped up. Although it already felt like I was pretty much there.
Yeah.
They did do a check and they said 6 centimeters. And I've just got to say this, like the whole centimeters thing, I would just take with a grain of salt because, and I came across this reel, it was either yesterday or 2 days ago on Instagram where they had a ruler and they took it up to maternity nurses and they were holding up their fingers of what they thought were 3 centimeters, 7 centimeters. They couldn't see the front of the ruler. And it
Oh.
was so like, give or take a centimeter or two.
Yeah.
So,
And it doesn't mean anything because, yeah, you can go from 6 to holding a baby in your arms in half an hour, in 10 minutes, in 40 hours. It's just a number. It's about the descent and the intensity of those contractions. Numbers are the top of the cervix. Anyway, whatever. We won't go into the whole
So I
detail.
was on my ball, listening to my music. That was probably my happy space, being on the ball on the floor, leaning over the bed, listening to my music. And I definitely wanted to get in the bath because that I knew would make me feel really calm. I was having lots of baths in pregnancy because I was having a winter baby. So I was in the bath like daily. I just loved being in there. One thing I also did was expressed a lot of colostrum, which I wonder if that also helped me go into early labour. So we're now on 39 weeks on Thursday. So I've jumped in the bath, and that was probably about like a bit after 7 p.m. So I was about an hour on the ball, jumped in the bath, not literally jumped, but I was feeling so nauseous with Will. I found that probably one of the biggest struggles.
Were you actually vomiting or you just felt
No.
Oh,
But I definitely felt like that would have helped, but I don't actually know if it would have. And the contractions were so hard to handle in the bath. I was like, oh, this is really like not my happy place right now. So I was sort of side-lying, and then I thought I'll get into all fours and see if that just sort of helps me feel a bit more comfortable. And I think they threw a few towels in so I had space for more comfort for my knees and that, because they're not proper birthing baths. They're just more standard baths in the private. And then my body went into involuntary pushing, and I'm so glad I listened to podcasts where they talked about this. Otherwise, I would have had no idea what was going on in my body. And I've been asked to explain what it feels like, and I have heard someone else say this as well on a podcast, where it feels like you're uncontrollably vomiting but trying to push a human out your vagina. That's what it feels like, and it's just wild. Like your body just is convulsing and you have no control over it. And the midwife's freaked out a bit. She's like, we've got to get you out of the bath. And again, I've said, you're going to have to pick me up because I don't know how I'm physically going to do that. Somehow, like a few contractions later, I'm out of the bath and I'm on the bed. And my OB's then been brought in. Bobby's there ready to go. And he's shone his big light on me. I'm like, what is that? Get that off. My dark room, his big light. And I've whacked my eye mask back on because I'm not having that thing in front of me. I've got my AirPods on, and I was so sure that I wanted to be on all fours giving birth. So that's where I wanted to be, and no one was moving me. One thing that did bug me, though, was there was one midwife that was there, and she was fiddling with the belt around me during a contraction.
Yeah.
I had to scream her away. I was like, well, what do you think you're doing? Like, there was no reason for it. There was nothing wrong with my heart rate, the baby's heart rate, anything. She did come back to me after I gave birth and apologise to me for doing that, which I appreciated. I think she realised she didn't really need to be fiddling with it, especially during contractions. And so I'm on the bed, and Bobby's like, let's go, let's give some pushes. And that was at about 7:30. And I remember looking at the clock going, if I can get him out by 8, that'd be great. Like, I just set myself a little goal, like, give yourself half an hour to do this. And I could just not get anywhere on all fours. It just was not happening for me. And I've turned around, I've said to him, like, what should I do? And he goes, why don't you just turn to your side? And I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm giving birth on all fours. I'm not going on my back. I'm not doing that. But I did end up rolling over to my right side. And I can't remember whose idea it was, but they gave me a stirrup to put my left leg in, and I could pull into it. And I actually did quite like being able to rest my body back sideways into the bed, but also sort of stick my bum out to get more space. And then it took a long time to get that head out for me. I felt like that was just, I was pushing so hard. And I remember thinking, this is how I should push with the Ep4, but it's definitely a poo. Like, you're not pushing out your vagina, it's a poo. And you hear that so much more in podcasts and people sharing their best stories. It's a big poo, and that's where you should direct. And for all three, that's how I got them out. Then he came out at 8:18.
Oh, so wow. That's actually such a short, like, pushing phase for a first baby. Like, it's amazing. Amazing.
And then we had the Simba moment, because we had Bobby's big light, and I'm looking at this baby going, you're huge. Oh no. Am I torn? And he's come on to me, which was beautiful. I've still got my eye mask on, and James is trying to rip it off. There's a few photos I've got which are great. And he's come onto my tummy, and the next thing I'm a bit overwhelmed, a bit, waiting for this love moment to happen. It definitely happened progressively over the next few hours. And the next thing I wanted to see if he'd do the crawl and the latch. The breast crawl. So I've watched his little head bob up and down, and we got there, which was lovely.
Beautiful.
And I've immediately said to Bobby after that, what's the damage? What's it like down there? And he said, nope, I think we're okay. It's just a little scratch. I was like, oh, thank God. So happy with that.
How big was he? How big was Will?
He was 3.75.
And
so he was actually the smallest out of the three.
Oh, my God. But you're tiny, Jacqui. How tall are you?
I'm 163 centimetres.
What's that in feet?
5'2", 5'3".
You're very petite.
Yes, but I do have that stretchy skin, and like with the prep that I did down there.
Yeah, you did so good. Amazing.
Yeah. So I was very happy with that. And then the placenta needed to come out, and that was taking just a little bit longer than they'd hoped. So I was happy to have the Syntocinon shot to get that out. Yeah. So then we had a beautiful baby, and had to then accept that, we're on the next page of life.
How would you describe that birth? What words would you use to wrap it up?
Oh, gosh. I remember pushing when my body went into that involuntary pushing phase in the bath. I said to myself, if you're planning on having 3 kids, don't do this again. do not do this to yourself again. Like, don't. And I did 2 more times.
Yeah.
I was so happy with the outcome of that birth. In my follow-ups with Bobby, he said, if you could package that up and sell it, you'd make lots of money. So I immediately thought, oh, how can I even do it better?
Yeah.
But I felt really, gosh, to sum up all the births, I can't think of one. It's like it's a feeling. It's so unique to every single person experiencing their birth and how they feel. Like there's, empowering comes to mind. Lucky definitely comes to mind because I definitely didn't think in my wildest dreams I would have 3 births that completely went to my plan.
Yeah.
But I guess lucky is probably the best and easiest word that comes to me. They all went the way I was hoping they could go.
Yeah, beautiful. Grateful. Maybe we turn lucky into grateful.
Right, 100% grateful.
I think you kind of made some of your luck as well, like.
It's probably lucky in that every time I went to go give birth again, there were a few people that said to me, just keep in mind that not all births go the same way as you'd had before. And I was like, yeah, mine are. They're definitely going to. And then James would go, the plan may change, so you've got to be open to that. And I'd go in with that, but I'm like, no, I'm determined to still have the same birth that I had before, if not, for lack of better words, but with slight improvements. I guess, refined to, from what I've learned with the one before it.
Yeah.
Then the next challenges, I guess, were learning to understand this new baby.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd actually changed a nappy before.
Yeah.
And, the midwife's they show you how to swaddle. Everyone shows you a different way of swaddling. And I did, it took me about 2 weeks to notice this, but I was literally walking around with my shoulders up around my ears.
Yeah.
So I was just so sensitive to his crying. All my sensitivities were heightened, and it just felt like so tense, like shoulders were up here. Always felt a little bit on edge, almost a little bit shaky. You'd have the shower, you'd think you'd hear your baby crying. Everyone says that you think your shower's crying. I'd have him in the cocooner baby in the shower with me, so I knew he wasn't crying. Yeah.
But that's all matrescence, right? Like, so this is the brain 100%. And the neuroplasticity and this wiring towards non-cognitive cues. So we have to be hyper vigilant and hyper alert in order to take care of our babies. So it just takes time, doesn't it, for it all to balance. And for some people, it actually doesn't. It turns into, postpartum issues. But for a lot of us, the wiring up and the trust and the confidence builds through the more time that you spend with your baby and the more kind of reassurance that you get from people around you that you're doing a good job, rather than people telling you you're doing it wrong or do it my way, or it's not that at all.
Definitely. And I did bring on a lot of sort of support in a way to help with my postpartum. And one of them was food. Like, I wanted to make sure that I had all the food necessary, which I tried before I gave birth. So during pregnancy, I was trying lots of different meals. So I had them made for mothers, delivery the day before, which is great. So I also had so much meals for mamas. Unfortunately, they've closed down now, but what Ash was providing there was great as well. And I had my fridge and freezer stocked full of her food as well. I also spoke to a lactation consultant before giving birth. So I had some of that knowledge around breastfeeding before.
Yeah.
And then she popped over a couple of times while we were at home to check in with how everything was going with latch. I did have a bit of bleeding and quite a bit of discomfort in hospital, and have tried to sort of do that a bit better each post-birth, I guess.
Yeah.
And learnt from each baby, different latch positions, how I should latch better. digressing a little bit here, but all three of mine have ended up with lip ties and tongue
Interesting.
ties.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Will's one wasn't actually picked up till 9 months.
Yeah.
So all of them breastfed fine. But I picked his up because he was not doing so well with solid food, and it's because his tongue couldn't move side to side, which is what you need to chew.
Wow.
So the food was just coming out. So I saw a feeding specialist and she saw it straight away. And then when we looked at it, it was so obvious
Yeah.
to me. Like, it was right almost to the tip of his tongue.
Wow. The
The tongue
frenulum. Yeah.
tie. Yeah. So we were able to get that lasered, but I did not enjoy that experience with a
No.
9-month-old. With Ed in hospital, we did all the chats with the lactation consultant in the hospital, the pediatrician. We actually got his snipped in hospital, which I felt so much more comfortable doing. With Tom's, he's 50-50 with me right now. It's not that bad. But I have this fear that we're going to get to the 9-month mark, start more of those solids, and that's going to happen. But I'm just seeing how he goes at the moment. So because he's breastfeeding sort of fine at the moment. Yeah. What else did I do? I also had Jacqui, who did the belly binding. That was great. She came over, had to do a massage and bind me up. We did that for Will and Ed, but I did feel after having done it with Ed, we did about 5 sessions. Usually she does about 8 to 10, that my prolapse was just getting a bit too heavy.
To be a bit too tight for any sort of potential prolapses. Yeah.
Yeah. And we tried doing she did a few different techniques to try and find more lift there, but we decided that it probably wasn't going to be the best thing for me this round.
Yeah.
Which I'm a bit sad about because I really enjoyed that sort of self-care moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was very fortunate that I had a night nanny actually as well. Very lucky to be able to do that for the first 2 nights, which I felt really helped with my anxiety of bringing a baby home into my space, because all I just felt like was that I had this thing I had to look after and didn't know how to, keep it alive. I guess that's one of the fears of a new mother, right? You step out of the hospital environment into your own home and you're on your own sometimes with this new thing.
Totally. Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And then so that was all William's kind of experience. And then I liked this educating people about tongue tie and lip tie and the genetics of that. I think it's all so helpful, and all the prep that you did. But what was different then in the prep with Ed and with Tom? Can we talk about anything that you were called to do differently with those pregnancies? Obviously, different pregnancies, different babies. Yeah, share a little bit about that, some of those variations.
With Ed, I felt I needed to mentally really get into the same space that I was in with Will. So I didn't want to cut short any of the prep that I did. So I would listen to all the birth stories, the podcasts again. I signed up for the online She Births program again and did all the content again. I just needed it fresh in my head, even though it was a lot of it was like, yep, and I hear new things.
Yeah,
you listen to something again, you go, oh, I don't remember hearing that the first time. And there was obviously new podcasts that you'd done, and with James, I gave him 2 options. I said, you can either do the videos with me or you can do the 1 day, and I call it the 1 day in Vaucluse with you, which I was really kind of super excited about because I felt like I knew you. Like we were almost, friends, like besties kind of, because you were like in my head for almost 9 months basically. Literally like AirPods in, you were there, your voice, I'm as strong as an ox, like all 3 births. Yeah. Yep. And he said, let's do the day refresher, because then that would also just take us away to focus on that and not potentially have a toddler running around in the background.
Yeah.
And James, like the change from the first birth prep to the second was just so different. Yeah, from the guy that's kind of like, oh, I grew up on a farm, I've seen farm animals give birth, you'll be right, to literally after Tom's birth saying that she birth should be government backed and free to everyone.
I agree. Hear,
Yeah.
hear. I agree,
Yeah.
James. I agree.
Yeah. We had a good chat with Sarah about that actually. To
Goosebumps.
kill some time. Yeah. He's he believes it should be given, he's like, to everyone for free.
Mm-hmm.
Around the world probably. And yeah, it was so we did the 1 day course, and that was great. All the birth prep I did was pretty much the same, from the dates to the raspberry leaf tea to the epino to the collecting colostrum. I collected so much more colostrum though with Ed. I don't know if that's because
you have to be careful. Just a heads up on that, on people doing that. Sometimes I've heard, very rare, but through one of the OBs shared that sometimes women get mastitis in their second or third, just from doing it too much sometimes before they've even given birth.
Yeah, right. I hadn't heard of that one.
I haven't either. I haven't met anyone, but that's what an OB shared with me.
You'd have to do it a lot, like surely. But
I don't know.
when I say a lot, I mean I didn't have my pump out. I was just doing it with my hand and a plastic syringe. But I really wanted to make sure that I had enough, because Will was borderline jaundice, and I didn't want. He was also just on that 10% birth drop weight before we went home. So the pediatrician did say, if you do have the colostrum, it can sort of, and you can give it to them in hospital, you can prevent potentially having more jaundice or the weight issues and that sort of stuff. So I was pretty happy to collect that colostrum, and it also just gives your boobs a bit of relief in those first few days as well.
Of a break.
Which was really helpful.
So
with Ed's, I guess we felt pretty prepared, and the course was very conveniently 2 weeks before, so it was super fresh in our head. I felt probably a little bit more excited about this birth, but there were a couple of things that were different. One was that he was sitting posterior, and that really freaked me out, because I just did not want the pain that people talk about where the two spines are rubbing up against each other, and I just didn't want him to get stuck. So I went to the She Births Facebook page for the members, and Polly Wilkie at the Care Clinic came up as a chiropractor to see. And I saw her every week from about, I think it was about 34 weeks.
Yeah, she's so beautiful. So she's a chiropractor, and she does the neuro
as well. But
she's an osteo as well?
So when I look, she's got a lot of stuff on her card.
I know, but she does the kinesiology as well. Yeah, which is so helpful. I love working with someone like that. It's so good.
Yeah. So seeing her gave me a little bit more confidence. He sort of kept swinging side to side a little bit.
Yep.
And then sometimes he would come forward and then go back around, like the moon going around the sun kind of thing. And I think I just got to a point where I had to just let that go. Yeah. And I was told a lot that sometimes when it comes to it, the contractions just spin them into the spot that they need to be in, and it'll go from there. So I just had to really let that go in the last few weeks. Yeah. But I had lots of false start labour for at least 3 weeks with him. And because Will came at 39 weeks, I had in my head that maybe he would come earlier as well. So I finished work up earlier. So I probably just had like this huge window of like 5 weeks where I just really felt like, is it on? Is it not? Is it on? Is it? And I found that really frustrating. There were days when I thought it was on, and I'd go home and put my visualizations on, really try and get in the zone, and then nothing would happen. And 2 days later it would happen again.
This is really common for second and third, like for multiple pregnancies, because we're sort of going in and out, seesawing in and out of the nesting and then the active, and we're waiting for all the hormones to be right and the first baby to be looked after. And so it's really common. It's really common, and can be due to slight malposition as well.
Yeah. So things that I did differently, gosh.
Well, you said you never, you never sat back. You were always leaning forwards because you were so
That's right.
worried
I
about.
was. I was literally like on the couch. There was no leaning back. I would only sleep on my right side and be upset if I woke up on my left side. Oh gosh, I was pretty much just walking a little bit like this. And even leading up into my last few days of work, I'd flip my chair around the other side. So I had the high back at the front and a pillow, and I would just lean into it
Oh
and then just like
wow!
work on my laptop like that, just
Okay.
straddling the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so, and
And then
so
what
like
happened? So how did it
all the
all
forward
stop?
leaning inversions as well. I was like
Good.
just off the couch all the time. I think I had Will trying to do a downward facing dog next to me all the time. I think I even thought about maybe trying to attempt a headstand, but didn't quite get there.
Don't bother, please.
Or even with the birth thing, though, I found that really supportive to hold like my sort of pelvis, and then I could just hold like a happy baby.
Yeah,
Not a
right.
happy baby,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, the Miles circuit forward leaning.
Yes, what am I trying to say? What is
You
that
know,
one? Puppy pose, where you're
yeah,
on your knees.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But I guess leading up to the birth, I wanted to make sure I had my castor oil smoothie ingredients ready. I literally wanted to repeat what I'd done. I also wanted to make sure that I was not going in peak hour. So
Yeah,
I said
yeah,
to
yeah.
myself, we've got to make sure that we don't do that. Make sure James knew which car park level to go to.
Yep, yep.
And it got to 40 weeks
Mm,
on the day. And in the morning, I'd done a lot of prenatal filming for with when I was pregnant with Will
mm.
for Pilates, the Pilates classes for the Body Love Mamas platform. And I hadn't done really anything with Ed, but I had this labor prep circuit that I put together
Mm.
based on a lot of things I'd read and watched, which involved a lot of like lunging, sort of moving the pelvis. And it went for about half an hour, and I decided, it'd be really great to film this. So I filmed it, me talking through it all, and I have put it up on YouTube, which was great because I could just watch myself with Tom and do
Yeah.
it. And I was so glad I filmed that, and I saw at the end of it, I literally go, it'd be really funny if I went into labour right now. And then I went and had a massage, a labour induction massage, where she does about 60 minutes of massage, and then she does some acupressure points on you. And came home, and a rug that I'd been waiting to be delivered for about a month was delivered. And I was so happy. I was like, oh, all the things I needed to do, a bit like the straws, the bendy straws. I had my massage. I'd filmed my little video, and the rug had been delivered. And at about 10 p.m. that night, things started to ramp up. Put myself in the shower, listened to my visualizations. I think I did go in and out of a little bit of sleep, which is what I was really trying to go for because I knew it was going to go into the next day. But my goal was also for it to go into the next day. I didn't want it to stop. So I tried to rest as much as possible. I even got the TENS machine on probably at about 2, 3 a.m. just to help relieve a bit of that.
Did you feel like you were getting back labour?
It felt the same with Will.
Yep.
It felt
Okay.
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not as strong because I was able to lie down and rest at this
Nice.
point.
Nice.
And then it got to the morning and it didn't stop. So I was like, yes, great. Let's get the castor oil smoothie, get Will off to daycare. Didn't have a NutriBullet. Dad, quick, got to drop down the NutriBullet. Like, I've got to make my castor oil smoothie. So he was able to drop that off because I felt like that was a piece that I needed. Also, I just wanted the pina colada, like yum.
Yeah.
Dropped Will off, made my smoothie. James and I went for a walk around the block. I had my acupuncture appointment booked in for 1 o'clock, and I messaged her saying, we need to go earlier. I need to see you. And I was seeing a new acupuncturist actually for this pregnancy because my other one got pregnant in between, and then they decided to close up their Paddington clinic, and she was only down in Cronulla, so I just felt like a bit of a trek. Well, with a toddler, to do those appointments, I found a new acupuncturist, and she said she could see me at 12. So I said, that's an hour earlier. Let's do that. So I saw her, and I counted about 8 contractions in the hour that I was with her, and she said to me, I think maybe you should probably go to the hospital now. And I said, yeah, we should go. So we called on the way, and they were like, are you sure? I said, I think so. And I'm not risking peak hour. It's 2 p.m. I'm not going to go home and risk that again.
Yeah.
But she said to me, just go for a walk around outside the hospital. Don't go in yet. Just hang around outside, and then you'll know when you need to go in. So we went to Cali Press, which I was really happy with, because when I gave birth to Will the first time, there was no food at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So I ordered the biggest bowl, all the extras, ate half of it, and said to myself, all right, we'll take the other half in so I've got some food to eat, which I'm very happy I made that choice.
Yeah.
So it got to about 3 p.m. We're walking around a bit outside, and I said, I think we should probably go in now. And there's a little, from Cali Press up to the hospital, it's a very slow incline, but gosh, it felt like a bit more like Mount Everest to me, climbing that steep, that slight incline driveway, it's driveway to the car park. And we got there, got in the lift, and it just felt really I felt like so in control of this situation. It felt really good what I was doing. Like it just, it really felt like my plan was unfolding. And she checked me because I wanted to sort of just know so I could sort of gauge. And she said about 4 centimetres fully effaced. And I said, cool, all right, great. Let's get the list out. What are we doing? James jumped onto acupressure points, which we missed with Will, and we did a lot more acupressure points in the birth prep and while we were in the hospital. And I knew I wanted to get in the bath a little bit earlier and not get stuck in there again. So we ran the bath earlier, hopped in the bath. So I was sort of between acupressure points, Fitball. I think we had the head massager. James also found my comb this time. He didn't find it with Will. It was in the bag, but he couldn't find it. And that comb for Ed's birth and Tom's birth, I did not let that comb go.
The crap out of it. Really
gave me something to focus on.
Yeah.
And I got in the bath, and the nurse or the midwife offered me the gas, and I didn't want it with Will because I felt so nauseous, and I gave it a go in the bath just to see what it'd be like. I didn't love it. It made my mouth super dry, which I really didn't love, and a lot of people say that. And the ice chips, that was one big thing. That was James's job, ice chips, acupressure points, and changing the songs on my phone. I'd be like, next. Sometimes you hear something and you're like, I'm not that. Don't need that one. And it got to a point in the bath where I was probably in there for about maybe almost half an hour, and I thought I probably need to get out now. This is really ramping up. And jumped back on the Fitball, and the TENS machine came back on, and there was something, the midwife must have seen something in me, and she said, do you want to just hop up on the bed? And I was like, oh, okay. So I thought I'll get onto all fours again on the bed and see how that feels. And I did plan to give birth on my side again because I felt like that gave me the most control.
Yeah.
And I got up on the bed, and my waters hadn't broken yet. And after about 2 contractions, big gush of waters, then I went into involuntary pushing. And then I said to her, and this would have been about 5:20, looking, because I asked for my birth notes after. So this would have been, so I came in about 3, and this was 5:20. And it was funny because Will was born on the 18th of the 8th at 8:18 p.m.
Wow.
And this was the 15th of the 5th. And I said to myself, I remember looking at the clock just before 5 going, it'd be so funny if he was born at 5:15. But anyway, got to 5:20, waters broke, my body went into involuntary pushing, and I literally turned to the midwife and I said, can I push? Can we go? Because I don't want to be stuck in this involuntary pushing again. I want to push into it. And that made me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And then she said, yep. And I was like, where's Bobby? Wait, Bobby needs to be here. and she's called for him, and he had fortunately not gone home.
Yeah.
Because I knew he had something on that night, because I was supposed to see him that day for an appointment, which I cancelled because I didn't want to have another conversation about a stretch and sweep. So he didn't go home because he knew I'd go quickly. So I was very grateful he didn't go home. And I think at one or two more contractions after that, I saw him over my shoulder getting all these bits and bobs together. So I was like, great, I'm going to flip over to my side. Let's go. And no joke, 2 contractions later, his head came out. I pushed like crazy. I was like, I know where I'm pushing. I don't want to get stuck here for 40 minutes again like I did with Phil. We're going. His head came out. And then I had to wait for the next contraction for the body to come out, and that felt like a lifetime. And he just flew out straight onto me. It was so quick.
Amazing.
And I was just like, wow, I could not believe that all of that just went to plan. And my leftover cali press was ready for me. Hadn't even really gone that cold.
It's so cool because, it is a refinement. It is an upgrade. It is like just little tweaks, making it a little bit easier, a little bit gentler. But I think what really stood out in that story for me is like when that involuntary urge was there, you went with it. Whereas sometimes getting out of the bath and then the light coming on and people poking and prodding and la, 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 it really can interrupt and lengthen second stage. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe it's not. Who knows? But I think it's really great that you were able to just go, and lean into it.
Yeah, it felt so much better having the knowledge of my first birth.
Yeah.
To be able to also know in my body, this is what I can do next, or, this is what for me comes next.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the position that I wanted to be in, I was able to go, yep, that felt good for me last time. I can get into that again and just go for it, basically. And then the placenta for Ed just sort of came out on its own as well.
Yeah.
Which I was pretty happy with. And then we did the breast crawl and he jumped on. And one thing that I did differently with this birth was I really didn't like the room that they put me in with Will. I did not like the courtyard facing room. It was dark. It was gloomy. I need light. So when I was when I was in there with Will, I took note of the room numbers and made a request for the room that I wanted, and I got it. So I was very happy with that, and made that hospital stay so much better.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. We all need light. You need light. You don't want the south-facing kind of space.
I don't know why anyone. I like if they're at capacity. Yeah, I understand. Like you've got to. Some people can be on the outside with the windows, and some people also want to be in this like cocoon, like this dark space. That's fine. Not me. I wanted the room as far away from the nurse's station as possible, from the beeping screens, and to be left pretty much. Yeah, and he did not want to get off the boob, little Ed. He just wanted to stay on. And he came out at 3.9.
Wow.
3.903. And no tearing, which I was so happy about. But I was so sure that there was a rip of some sort, because when he was not stuck, but in between those 2 contractions of the head and the rest of the body, I was like, oof, that one's tough.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And we've kind of got to 2 births. I feel like we've got to cover more around Tom and the managing Frank Breach and Matt Reference and a little bit else. But feel like
so one thing I sort of skipped over with Ed was I did go back to the same fertility specialist, and he was conceived on the 3rd round as well.
Yeah.
There was a loss in between, which was on the 2nd round, and that was a bit hard because it was, we went in for the ultrasound, and I actually booked it a week later, not on the 7-week mark. And there were 2 empty sacs, which was a bit disappointing, but I'm glad that, and it's weird how the world works, but I had seen something shared somewhere on social media a few weeks prior on someone who had an empty sac.
Unblighted ovum.
Yeah. And so I knew what it was. And it was almost like the universe
Yeah.
showed me that. So when I went in and that happened, I knew what I was
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
And I was really disappointed. The overwhelm of that day was a little bit, it was a bit of a rough day because that was the day before Will had his tongue tie lasered. And we literally rocked up for the ultrasound appointment and his mouth started bleeding just out of nowhere. And
Wow.
he was fine, but we were freaking out. And they were like, oh, you're already here. We could probably just do the ultrasound really quickly. So I was like, okay, we'll do it really quickly. And then we'll take him to the dentist that did it because it was just down in Bondi and we were up in Bondi Junction. And then they're like, oh, we need to get the doctor to come in and have a quick talk to you. And she's just like, this is what this means. And I'm just like, yeah, I know what it means. You know, I sort of rushed all that because I wanted to get out.
Yeah.
So, and then that afternoon, it was just like all the emotions, like from being upset with Will, but he was fine. It was just a little something like a little blood blister that had popped. It had nothing to do with the actual, what he had done. It was actually just something on his lip because he looked like he had lip filler. Bless. But he was fine. But we were freaked out. And then that happened. And then that all ended up being a bit of a disaster because it wouldn't pass on its own. I had a medical abortion for that at Women's, which ended up with retained products, which ended up in a DNC. And it just felt like all I wanted was my next baby and to get pregnant again. And I fortunately did the next round. So that was 3 rounds and then I conceived Ed. So and then we've just covered off Ed's story.
It's good to just like pause for a second because, you know, we're talking about these fantastic birth outcomes, you know, things going to plan and having a sense of in control and, you know, things going right. But no one gets off without some challenge within this whole perinatal period. So I just want to highlight that for anyone who might have like birth story envy, like no one gets off without challenge in the whole perinatal period and without growth and without learning. I feel like we should talk about like Ed and matrescence in like a second little ep. What do you feel? I feel like we should just pause for a moment because I feel like it's a lot of information. I feel like we need to
we can split this for sure. Yeah,
I think we should split.
Yeah,
do it. But what do you want people to hear, I suppose, around that fertility process? Like what would you tell other women who might be challenged with fertility and loss?
Gosh. God, when you look at it statistically, like I just had so many family and friends around me falling pregnant easily, it all going, you know, fairly smoothly, like being able to get pregnant, not losing. But I was just like, statistically, someone's going to have to, like, this is going to happen to someone.
1 in 5. Yeah, it's 1 in 5 ends in miscarriage, and then 150,000 women a year will experience a loss in Australia. Yeah. It's big. It's big because a lot of women who have a miscarriage will have a recurrent as well. So it's really big.
Yeah, and that first ultrasound for Ed and seeing that heartbeat, like just absolute Niagara Falls out of my eyes. Just like just so much relief. The 7 weeks leading up, well, not 7, 5, I guess, from when you find out you're pregnant, to doing that first ultrasound was so much anxiety around, you know, hoping that this time it would work out. It's hard. It's such an emotional roller coaster, and it felt like with that loss there that just the punches kept coming from the medical miscarriage not working out. It was also had a really bad experience at Women's with it. They, you know, lost my file, kept me for 3 times the amount of time that they were supposed to keep me, and then just having the retained products was super disappointing. and then having to get a D and C done after that. And then I think my fertility specialist said then I had endometritis. So that was another round of antibiotics. And it was just like, oh God, like when can we start again? Like once I was one of those people that once I had a loss, I wanted it now.
And it does come with anxiety, like you say, like it can bring a lot of fear into the next pregnancy for a lot of women. And it's really hard to kind of drop in and feel that connection to the baby and so on. There's so much.
100%. And there was almost, because there were two, and then you get one, I was a bit like, oh, I mean, so grateful, but you kind of just go, oh, there are still moments where I kind of go, oh, I wonder what my life would have been like if that had worked out.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really, I can really relate to that, personally. And there's people, who lose their babies and there's not a day that goes by when you will not think of them. And that might have been a 6-week loss or an 8-week loss or anything else. And there won't be a day for the rest of your life, that you don't think about that. And that's kind of beautiful in a way, because the truth is, through maternal fetal microchimerism as well, like the DNA of our babies does come back into our bodies. And so they're actually, always with us as well, which is interesting going forward forever. In the bones of women 20, 30, 40 years postpartum, they still find the DNA cells of lost babies.
Yes, I have heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
And now for a quick break. Contrary to popular culture, She Births believes that childbirth can be the best day of your life. It is designed perfectly to be empowering, enriching, and bonding. An awesome rite of passage. Our childbirth education programs have helped thousands of families around the world since 2008, allowing families to not only feel empowered through education, but also connect with their innate birthing wisdom to create the best birth possible and begin their parenting journey with confidence. She Birth's unique methodology was scrutinised in university trials and has been published in the British Medical Journal for improving birth outcomes for both mother and child. I'd like to invite you to begin preparing for birth today. Just go to shebirths.com to discover our 2-day weekend face-to-face courses or access the online courses from anywhere around the world. That's shebirths.com. Create your beautiful birth with the world's only scientifically verified antenatal classes.
So, Jacqui, how would you, I know you've said that Ed's birth, your second birth, was your favourite. Why do you think it was your favourite?
So, aside from the birth pretty much going to my plan, on reflection, I think it's everything that happened before and after the birth. And it's more around the relationship and opportunity that James and I had together, if that didn't really make much sense.
No,
but the time that James and I were given before the birth and after the birth.
What do you mean by that? You had more space?
It was sort of like this beautiful time where the world just sort of stopped for us. I woke up the morning after I sort of gone into that long sort of slow pre-labor, and I knew it was going to happen that day. I was kind of like, this is the day. It's definitely not switching off. Let's get Will to daycare. We'll make sure our parents are ready to take over in the evening and the days after. And this was the day after my due date. So everyone was sort of already ready and prepared for this anyway. And so once Will was sort of sorted, James and I sort of had this whole day together. And we were able to just go for a walk at our own pace. We were able to watch some TV shows at home together. He was able to take me to my acupuncture appointment and then take me to hospital. And it's just, there's not many times in your life or even in your relationship where you just stop for you to switch off the phones, no care about work,
Yeah.
and you just do the things because you feel like that's what you need in that time. No strings attached, no worry. Focus is really on just you, your baby. And because I'd already had one, it didn't feel like a full foreign territory. I was kind of like, I know my body's supposed to feel like this. I know how it's supposed to ramp up. And it just felt, I don't want to use the word controlled, but it just sort of went the way I was expecting it to. And then we had the opportunity to get to hospital. At the time, I wanted to get there, not in peak hour, get some food, eat that food. And then the birth, I guess, happened in the way we exactly wanted it to happen. And we had like a really good first night together in hospital. And the next few days in hospital were almost just like a bit of a holiday because I had such a great birth, had a very good recovery, and we had Will sorted as well. So it was just sort of this great newborn bubble, which we'd already experienced before. So the sort of fear I had of having a newborn wasn't necessarily there. It was just this beautiful time of enjoying and trying to obviously get as much sleep as possible. So
now it makes sense because I think everything in life is relative. And so this is the beauty of like we go through these really intense, birth experiences, postpartums, first years, with our firstborns. And then, my God, when you get space to like yourself as a mother or as a couple, like, wow, you really are present to that. You can't help but become more present and more appreciative of those times and really savor it.
Yeah, you definitely don't appreciate it a bit at the time. But I mean, I definitely appreciated it when I had Tom because I didn't have the other two around me, and I very much enjoyed that time in hospital.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I think it was more just that whole almost 48-hour period that
made it magic.
That was really nice, more from a relationship point of view, because James and I, we're outnumbered now, so we don't really get those times together.
That's right, exactly. So let's talk about when you became outnumbered. So little Ed, third boy,
Tom.
on his way. Oh, sorry, little Tom. Oh, my God, sorry.
I know.
Getting names mixed up. Sorry. So little Tom decides in pregnancy that he wants to hang out with his bottom first, Frank breech. Is that right?
Yeah, well, just before that, I just want to touch on what changed in my body to conceive Tom. So Will and Ed were both conceived via ovulation induction. And then I had to stop breastfeeding Ed early because I was just so sick, and my period came back on its own for the first time, I think, since I was 16. And we sort of saw that as oh my gosh, this is like amazing. This is my body, the universe telling us to go for our third now. We probably would have waited maybe just a little bit longer, but I just saw this as a sign of let's go for it if my body's going to do this. So 3 cycles later, Tom was conceived, which was very exciting to know that my body could finally do it on its own. And they do say that this can happen. I've heard some friends experience that as well.
Period. After an assisted conception, that postpartum is your most fertile period, they say.
Yeah. So I found out I was pregnant the Friday before I was going back to work on the Monday, which was a bit of a shock, but also very exciting. And then the pregnancy was really similar to the other two, a little bit harder because I had the other 2 kids running around, so I didn't get as much rest as possible. I was very lucky, though, that James, my husband, had sold his business and he was actually at home pretty much all the time, so he could help out with the other 2. And that's actually still been the case while I've had Tom. So I've been very lucky in that respect to have that extra set of hands at home and not feeling like I'm really doing 2-3 kids on my own.
Yeah.
And then with Will and Ed, we were pretty keen to find out the gender of both of them soon after, almost as soon as you can. And I guess the same was it was similar with Tom, But I had always thought if I had 3 kids, that I would probably have a mix of boys and girls. I never thought I would have just all boys or just all girls. So in our mind, we'd always pictured that there would be this sort of mix. And we did a little gender reveal for all 3 of them, biting into some cupcakes, which had the colour inside. And we did that at home together. And I was a bit nervous about it because I'd had a dream a couple of weeks before where I found out it was a boy. And I woke up and I was like, oh, okay. I felt quite, I don't want to use the word disappointed, but I was. And it really sort of hit me that I might need to spend a bit of time thinking about this before I actually do bite into that cupcake.
Yeah, right.
And I did, but I don't know, there was something in my mind that I was like, I'm pretty sure it's a girl. Anyway, it was a boy.
Yeah.
And I definitely spent the next 2 weeks really struggling with that.
Mm-hmm.
There were points where I just have to sit in silence myself, cry in the shower. And it wasn't that it was a boy. It was more that this vision that I had of a mix. And also just in my life, I wanted to experience being a mother to a boy and a girl.
Yeah,
and it was more that I won't have that experience in my life because we were quite happy with just having 3 children.
Yeah.
I guess I was really busy throughout his pregnancy with the 2 other boys, going back to work part-time, teaching part-time as well, and then renovating our house. So in a way, I was able to sort of just not really think about it too much. And I thought after I'd listened to heaps of podcasts on gender disappointment and things like that, just to sort of help myself a little bit mentally and emotionally, and thought I'd sort of dealt with it. And then as the pregnancy progressed, I got to, I think it was about 32 weeks, and I had an OB appointment, and he said, so he's hanging in Frank Breech, bum down, head feet up. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. None of the others were in that position. And they say, still lots of time, they can move around. But me being me, I was like, we're doing all the inversions. We're seeing the chiropractor. So I went and saw Polly again, who I saw with Ed, to try and spin him around while he was posterior. And what came out of that first appointment was a lot around how my body was storing some feelings and emotions around him being a boy.
Yep.
Also, what came out was maybe me thinking I need to, or maybe I want to explore having a 4th, just in case it's a girl, full well knowing that it could be another boy. But it seemed that my body was still harboring these 2 issues of.
So I just want to talk about, I just want to explain to people, like, so when you see a holistic or a chiropractor that works with neuromuscular techniques, they're utilizing like kinesiology to test what might be creating tension in our fascia. And within that fascia, there are sort of neurological connections, as the body and mind is one, and they work through, belief systems that might be kind of blocking our evolution at the time. And the body's we're following the body's thread, right? The body's giving us a clue about what to explore in order to be able to flow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really leaned into that because I felt that I really needed to acknowledge that in order for him to move around to where he needed to be.
Yep.
Which led to me having lots of conversations with James about how I was feeling, how we were feeling about this, whether we would even consider having a 4th. And I think through those conversations, it really helped my body to find some ease. And I felt like I also needed to just identify with the baby that was in me a little bit more, which led to lots of conversations around naming him. So we spent a lot of time talking about first names, middle names, just to give him his own identity and for me to connect with him a little bit more. That's how I found that. And then I think it was only about a week or two later, I went back for another scan and he was head down, feet up. But and I was just like,
work.
yeah, no, it was pretty magical and like so relieving, and just amazing that like that all happened really.
Yeah.
So I kept seeing Polly also just for like weekly from then leading up to my birth, also just to help to create space in my body and to help manage any other sort of emotions and things that were stored in my body, which leads us, I guess, to about really sort of close up to Tom's birth. So around that 35, 36 week mark, I started doing all my little labour prep things like the acupuncture. I ramped that up a little bit with my acupuncturist, the acupressure points with James. We did that nightly. Started expressing my colostrum, drinking the raspberry leaf tea. What else do we do? The jasmine, clary sage oil on my belly. I also got my Ep4 back out, which actually popped, which was a bit scary, but also quite humorous at the same time. Can't believe that happened, but also not surprised because I'd had it for quite a period of time.
And you're only meant to do 2 pregnancies with an Ep4.
Well,
All right, there's not great research on Ep4s anymore. We sort of
it was a mental thing for me. It was just a mental thing. If anything, it was more like I did all that. I just wanted to do the same things that I did for the first 2 births.
Yeah, of course.
That's all. And I had to laugh when I had to throw it out, really. And my women's health physio said I probably wouldn't need to touch anything like that anyway. But anyway, did the eggplant palmy, which I'm pretty sure I've nailed now using the air fryer, not the pan.
Oh, wow.
And lots of spicy curries. Like spicy curries I will never touch again because they were so hot, sweating. And there was so much start-stop pre-labour, very much like Ed. There were a few mornings. So he was due on the 21st of November, which was quite a interesting date because Will was born on the 18th of the 8th. Ed was born on the 15th of the 5th.
Wow.
And then Tom's due date was the 21st of the 11th. So 10 days plus the birth month. So I was pretty fixed on him being born on the 21st, so all of their birth dates would line up. I also didn't want to go into labour too early because my dad and stepmom decided to go away to North Queensland for 3 weeks, and I don't even think my body would have let me go into labour knowing that they weren't around to look after the other 2.
Yeah.
So we did actually have James's mum, who lives in Melbourne, stay up in Sydney with us, and she actually arrived on the Thursday night. So the 21st was on a Friday, and she was in Sydney, but she stayed with us on that Thursday night before. And I remember waking up on that Thursday morning and just feeling like I did not want to get out of bed. I just wanted to stay there, watch TV, do nothing. And that's exactly what I did. I just said to James, I'm not doing anything today.
The body. Yeah, good.
Anything that's on the agenda, you are doing. And I did have a massage and acupressure point appointment with Mel, who I had seen the day before I went into labour with Will and Ed. So it was a very conveniently booked appointment. And luckily it was just down the street. So I waddled down there feeling like I was half asleep. And I just said to her at the end, great, it's all going to happen tonight. I will see you at the end. So I'll see you after. And that's pretty much what happened. I waddled back home. And I didn't even really feel like dinner. I just wanted to have a light snack, go to bed. I even had a bath, which I didn't do a lot of during that pregnancy because, or towards the end, because it was a bit warmer. Will and Ed were winter babies, so I lived in the bath. But I felt like I needed a bath, went to bed, and at about 10 p.m., that's when it started. I I could feel it. It was ramping up for sure. Like we were on. And it was TENS machine time, and I had the She birth rehearsal
Nice.
meditation on loop.
Excellent.
I tried to get as much rest as I could, full well knowing that
Good
in the
girl.
morning it's going to be a day. I think I lasted about like 3 hours and then felt, I need to break this up. Jumped in the shower, did a bit of shower,
Awesome.
jumped back in bed, and then and TENS machine back on, meditations, and then it got to 5 a.m. and I thought, okay, I think we need to go because I don't want to deal with 1, children and 2, peak hour.
Yeah.
And it was great just knowing that James's mum was in the next bedroom, so she could just, take on. I feel like her staying just really let my body go, and knowing that she was going to be there. Yeah. So James got the car ready. I actually jumped in the shower again really quickly, and I remember being in there just saying, okay, you let me know when we're ready to go, and when I get the next break after this contraction, we're going. Like, we're running to the car because I don't want to get stuck. We're going. And the car ride was quite funny because...
Did you put the TENS machine back on for the car ride?
Yeah. Good girl. I had everything. I pretty much had the TENS machine on every time I didn't have water on me, whether it was the shower or the bath.
And did you have like a comb in your hand, or what else did you...
Not by this time. When I had it when I got to hospital. Yeah, I did have my AirPods on so I could listen to something though. So AirPods were pretty much on. And then the car ride was... I think James was going a little bit fast because it felt a bit like, oh, that's a speed bump, oh, that's a roundabout. But it was manageable, but definitely not comfortable. And I was in the very far back seat because we've got 3 rows in our car now because we've got so many children. It was just sort of, it was uncomfortable, but we got there, and I was happy we got there early, like no peak hour, no nothing. It was quite a quick car ride. And we were there about 6, and I think she said, I actually can't even remember, and I was not attached to it at all. I think she said maybe somewhere between around, I'm going to say 5 centimetres or something like that. And I was like, great, awesome. We get our bag of tricks out. We'll get the comb. We do our acupressure points. I loved the caterpillar massage.
Nice, yeah.
That was just that. I really took to that one in this labour. When James did it, I just felt like everything was coming down. It was progressing, the contractions. There was something about that one. I also jumped in the bath. I had definitely had the comb there. The comb pretty much did not leave my hand from then on. James also had the head massager going when I felt like it. The birth ball was also there as well. Not as much as the other births because it felt like a little bit more uncomfortable. I preferred to either be standing or on all fours in this one. One thing I definitely had on the whole time as much as I could was my eye mask because I could see the sun starting to come up, and I was like, we're not going to let the sun affect this. So eye mask was pretty much on the whole time, and my playlist was going. And the OB came in. Bobby came in at about 7 o'clock to check in with how I was going. And this is where it got interesting because I knew that he was assisting in a cesarean at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. And I was like mentally thinking, I don't really want to be waiting till 11 o'clock for this. I kind of want him out now. So I was like, okay, like just mentally trying to like do everything to try and progress any contraction, really lean into that contraction, really let go. And I was kind of happy at 7 o'clock that they had the midwife changeover. It's about between 6:37 that they do the midwife changeover.
Yeah.
And there was just something about this midwife that came in. She had some scrubs on that were really happy. I can't remember exactly what was on them, but it was like a happy, colourful scrubs. And I loved her vibe. And I was just like, great, this is the midwife I need for me. And one thing that was different in this labour compared to the other two was that they offered the remote checking, the
Bluetooth CTG, the monitoring,
where they can just put the stick. Yeah, so I didn't have to have the band on.
Sarah would have done that. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And she said, oh, look, we can do this, but I'm going to pop around every 15 minutes. And that 15 minutes felt like every 5 minutes. But I think I preferred that over the band that they always
Of
kept
course,
fiddling with
way
on
more
me.
comfortable. Do we want to tell people who that midwife was? That midwife
I only found out after, but it was Sarah, who
from
is on
She-Births.
the She-Births Educators team. So I felt very, very lucky to have her.
Nice.
And so she was just, so supportive throughout that labour. And it got very exciting, and I'll get to that point for her. It was just shy of being after 8 o'clock, and I felt like, oh, I might just start, feeling like I need to push soon. So I thought I'll get on the bed and just set myself up exactly like I did for Ed's birth, because my water still hadn't broken at this time.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like that needs to really happen to just get him down. Right ready.
Yeah.
And I was there for about half an hour, and things weren't progressing. They'd called back Bobby to come, because I felt like I was going to go into pushing. And then it got just before 9 o'clock, and Bobby's like, okay, I'm going to go, but I'm just down the corridor. I can come back. And I'm like, righto, I'm not going to see you, am I? I was just like, we'll see about that. And Sarah said, she goes, let's try something up. Let's get you back in the shower, try something different. I was like, yep, great, let's do that. Turn the machine off in the shower. Throughout my whole pregnancy, I felt really tight in my left hip. And there was something telling me, you need to just get into a lunge to try and stretch this out. And as soon as I did that in the shower, my waters broke. Excellent. I felt him just come down, and I was like, oh, guys, like, get me back out of the shower, back onto the bed. And then I think it was almost like the next contraction, I went into involuntary pushing, and I've immediately said to Sarah, are we good to go? Because I'm good to go. And she said, yep, whatever you're feeling. And for my other 2 births, I found it a lot more comfortable to just be side lying and let my body fully relax into the bed, and then just lift my legs up and stick my bum out sort of in this awkward squat. And that's exactly the position I got into. And I started pushing, and it, which I was so excited about. Didn't feel excited at the time, but I guess I was sort of happy that, you'd sort of reached that bit. And then I remember hearing Sarah go, oh, James, can you just push that big red button? And there were 2 things that went through my mind. 1, Bobby's not going to make this. And 2, yay, we are almost there. Like, we are just so close to this finish line. And I think it was only probably about 4 contractions in his head came out. And then on the 5th one, the rest of him came out. And just as he was coming out, Bobby's come into the room. I can just tell he was a bit disappointed that he'd missed it, because he tried so hard to quickly get back. But it was lovely that Sarah was able to deliver him. So that was really nice. And he was born at 9:26 in the end. So,
It sounds like it's such a beautiful labour. And I just love hearing, how you used all the tools, and that getting in and out of the shower and back to the tens, like really listening to your body. But also there's that consciousness, isn't there, like, and that wisdom that comes through in a third labour. It's like, oh, I'm going to not let the sunlight come and avoid me, like interrupt me now. And, there's an awareness that we have from the knowledge. And, it's really beautiful to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he latched pretty well. And pretty much he kind of stayed on my boob for about 4 hours, because we weren't able to move rooms yet. So I was in the delivery suite for like ages after I gave birth. Like a bit like a hotel check. They've got to wait for the others on the other side, the maternity ward, to sort of check out before you can move over that side. So we just hung around and waited to move over, and then just sort of went into that newborn bubble in our room. And it was a bit different. I wouldn't say it was lonely, but it was definitely just me and Tom for most of the days. James was able to come back at nights, but he did go help out with the boys during the day, so that our parents didn't get over it, because we wanted them to stay the night and deal with the kids at night, so he could come back and be with me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, do you feel complete now with your 3?
Oh, gosh, it's funny. We'll be in the playground and James will just be like, oh, could we go one more? And I'm just like, oh, I don't know. Don't say that to me. I thought we'd wrapped our head around this. But I think we're definitely happy with 3. Like
Yeah.
we're done. I've started selling all the stuff that I've
Yes.
accumulated, which
Yeah.
feels very weird. Like
Mm.
it's been a bit like hard to let go of some of this stuff
Yeah.
because I've just been in the zone of, okay, yep, I'll pack that up for the next one. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Look, you've been blessed, and to have 3 healthy children is just such a blessing. It's such a gift. Yeah, very lucky. What about you did the Soul Mama Circle after your second, and then what would you say around the matrescence period, and what supported you, and how were they different, the 3 kind of journeys?
Yeah. So with Will, I guess when I think of matrescence, just taking a step back, there are a few different elements that change. I guess one that I was definitely expecting was the hormonal and physical changes. So throughout all 3 births and pregnancies and postpartums, I was always expecting there to be the hormonal changes, the physical changes in my body. So I don't think that I felt that they impacted me as much because I was expecting them.
Yep. Yeah,
And I'd
knowledge is
learned,
power. Yeah.
yeah, and I'd read up about them, learned a lot more about those 2 particular changes. With Will, after having my first, I think the emotional intensity and the relationship change was the biggest. The
Yep.
emotional intensity being that I now have this small child I need to look after, and it's sort of a little bit overwhelming, stressful. I think I was wearing my shoulders up around my ears for at least the
Yep.
first two weeks after giving birth. I was just like on edge all the time. Anytime I'd hear a noise, I'd think it
Yep.
was him. I'd need to be there for him. I couldn't watch a movie or look at like a social media post or see another child without having this huge different perspective
Yeah.
or feeling. Like
Amazing.
if I watch a movie with something that happens to a child now, I am just Niagara Falls out my eyes. Just can't. It's completely different now. And then in terms of the relationship change with James and I, we're both very independent people, and we both had quite busy lives outside of our, I guess, relationship before children. So doing things on our own was just like the norm. And then we now had this, new family unit, and I really had to rely on James to, make me dinner, get me this, buy this stuff from the shops. It was just this new relationship, and I think it
Yeah.
was actually like, I think for the first 2 months after, it was just like almost the strongest bond we'd had. I really enjoyed that period. So I felt like that emotional change and relationship change was probably the biggest after Will. With Ed, I I feel like there wasn't aside from being a mother now to 2 and just having to grasp the fact that it's there's 2 now.
Yep.
It was probably less emotional shock.
Yeah.
I was just probably getting just a little bit more confidence in being a mother, really, and just sort of expanding how I felt. There wasn't as much of a shift as the first one.
Yeah.
And then now that I've had Tom, it's sort of this interesting phase where now that we are happy that we've got our 3 and we've created our family unit, I'm now experiencing this huge identity shift. Like I definitely experienced it with the other 2, going from being a mother
Yeah.
to a mother of 2. Now I'm a mother of 3, but it's more like I am not planning on getting pregnant anymore. I'm not planning on trying to conceive anymore. It's I've got my family. What does our life look like now? What yeah, it's just James isn't working. I'm not working because I'm on maternity leave. Like, what role do I want to go? Do I want to go back to work? Do I want to stay at home more with the kids? Do I want to try something part time? Do I want to start my own business? It's kind of exciting in a way, and it's really interesting. I just don't know if that many people are afforded this opportunity to kind of go, oh, I can, explore this whole new life.
As a different person as well, I think we normalize the changes that happen. I mean, we notice these things like we cry more in films, or there's changes in our relationship. There's been these bonding experiences, but I think we don't realize how different we are because, within our own minds, we're actually normalizing who we are. And often a way to sort of mark out how different we are will be in the creation of a new career or something that we offer to the world or something that we engage in. It might be something that we do at school and assist, at community levels. But we definitely change. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's exciting.
It's been like, I don't know, I guess I feel quite fortunate that I've been able to experience that 3 times in very different ways.
Yeah. And did lots of
amazing
prep.
You mentioned Soul Mama Circles. I didn't even touch on that, but I did do that after Ed's birth. And I think that started actually at 3 weeks. So it was all just, it was kind of quite timely because there was a lot going for me in my world at that time. And I really needed that space to connect with like-minded people. And I guess that's what that program offers is like most, I'm pretty sure like everyone that does Soul Mama Circles has done the She Births course. So we're already sort of like in the same zone, mindset page on, and can find each other in our experiences quite relatable in some way. And it's just like, it's really nice to have a space where you just feel like safe to just say and express however you feel with no strings attached.
Yeah, that's right, in that safe container. Yeah, because that releases, because there are a lot of emotional ups and downs. There are a lot of stresses that happen in that, particularly in that first year in parenthood and motherhood. It is hard. You've got sleep deprivation, there's isolation, there's so much learning. As you said, in your first, like after your first, there was such a sensitivity to sounds, like that's the brain rewiring itself to non-cognitive cues, which is what's going on. But actually, our brains change dramatically and they're actually being wired to greater cognition and greater empathy. And that's measured in mothers' brains like decades after they've become mothers, that we have different brains to if we hadn't had children, which is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. And the studies that they'll come out with in years to come will just be so fascinating to see what else they find.
I know, it is, right? Because in fact, only 5% of studies in neuroscience are allocated towards the study of women. Just wrote that statistic into my book, I got it from the psychiatric journal that my stepdad, who's a shrink, sent to me. And I was like, wow, and we've got like such interesting information from this tiny allocation of functional MRIs that measure like blood flow changes in the brain as opposed to a static MRI. So it's a really exciting time to understand the brain of the mother and how we're changing. And perhaps this will wake people up to really take care of mothers and support them at this really vulnerable time. Because when you're going through radical change, the brain is incredibly vulnerable, just like a teenager's is, and their nervous system is. So we need care and we need support and we need to respect this time so we can wire it up nice and healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say to people out there who are pregnant maybe with their first baby? What would you want to share with them, or what would you or James want to share with them?
Well, James thinks that the She Births course should be a government-funded program that's offered to absolutely everyone. And him and Sarah ended up in quite the conversation while we were waiting in the delivery suite about that. And James was like, how can we get this out there more to everyone? I think I'm a huge believer in educating yourself and having the most knowledge possible, whether that's one course, 2 courses, all the podcasts that you can, all the birth stories that you can, and just having an open mind to what can come. I still find it so amazing that I was able to have 3 births that went to my plan. As I continue to talk to my friends, listen to birth stories about how just polar, like just different their births can be, just complete polar opposites.
Yeah.
And I've had just 3 that have gone that way. But I think if that is so important to you, which it was to me, that you can have that for yourself as well.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, do the work and do the learning. And if it is important to you, then go for it. We were saying, like, you're renovating your house. It's kind of like expect the worst and be happy when it's not like that, which is the inverse of what we say for childbirth. It's like prepare for all, but expect the best, because you were an athlete preparing
for the moon, land, and
day.
the stars.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Jacqui, for coming onto the She Births podcast and sharing 3 really epic birth stories and pregnancy stories and loss story. Like, it's a huge breadth of experience that we've covered. So I really appreciate your open and honest sharing. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks so much, Nadine, for giving me the space to talk about this as well.
Yeah. Hopefully it helps lots of women out there and partners as they tune in.
Definitely.
I'm Nadine Richardson, and you've been listening to the She Births podcast. If you've enjoyed today, please help us keep this podcast going by subscribing, reviewing, and sharing with a friend. Don't forget to check out our catalogue of previous pods and, of course, our unique programs and services. You can find me and my team at shebirths.com, our community of families and birth workers on Instagram and Facebook. She Births is 2 words and plural. Remember, when it comes to having a beautiful birth and beginning motherhood, your She Births education is your empowerment.